What we're going to do is I'm sharing my story about how I didn't understand anything about mental illnesses, so I didn't know to get help. So it wasn't until I was in my mid-20s and in a lot of trouble that I realized, I did get tutoring, took some leadership classes, was in the Marine Corps, but I still needed to understand that I had anxiety and depression, and there was help for that, and deal with some issues in my past. So this one I'm going to do is encourage them and remove the stigma of mental illness, that if you do have anxiety, depression, that there is help that we can receive. I went to college and quickly dropped out. Very first class, professor handed me a book, and I brought it back to my dorm and I read it. And I read the first page 5 times and just cried. I'm like, I don't understand what I'm reading. I can't do this. So I dropped out of college. If it starts to affect your relationships, or you're coming to school and you just can't cope with stress, then that's a sign that it's, sometimes we just think, well, I'm anxious or I'm depressed, but if it's starting to affect your everyday life, then that's showing that it could be a mental illness.
For the kids to understand that we now have a program in the Lawrence County school system that will offer services for them when they are experiencing some type of mental health issue. And what we have available, it all goes through the school counselor at each school. So if a student is concerned for themselves or for another student, they can go to their school counselor, express their concerns, and she will get them in contact with either, she can make a referral to Health Connect America, who the school system is now contracting with, that will come to the school and provide counseling services. Or we also have 2 student support liaisons, and their role is to come in and speak with that student and maybe even the family and see if there are any resources other than maybe a mental health agency that they may need.
They feel that it's so important that you realize that if you are having these thoughts of depression, if you have thoughts of suicide, if you have extreme anxiety, that you get the help that you need.
We actually had a meeting at the State Department last night, and a lot of the discussion centered around the stress that students are under now and how a lot of them do develop anxiety that is affecting their everyday life.
When I was 12 years old, I was diagnosed with a severe depression disorder and a severe anxiety disorder. It kind of held me back in my life for a long time, and I wasn't able to just do simple classroom presentations. In my freshman year, I really started to seek help, and I really started to open up to counselors and my parents and my doctor, and they started helping me come up with coping methods that I was comfortable with. Ever since then, I've just continued to grow in it, and April and Steve have been a huge help as well in just helping me really get it out there that it does happen to just average students like us, and people never think it would happen to me because I'm senior class president at our school and I frequently talk in front of a lot of people, and so nobody ever guesses, that I do have a severe anxiety disorder and that it's a struggle for me to get up there. I didn't really know what was going on for a while because all of a sudden I just started to struggle with things that beforehand I had been able to do with absolutely no problem. I got up in front of class one day in 6th grade and all of a sudden I couldn't do it anymore, and I just struggled to even introduce myself and tell basics about myself. And I didn't really know what was wrong with me. I just really questioned myself on, what was so different about me that I couldn't get up and speak in front of my classmates like everybody else could with no problem. And it took me probably about 6 or 7 months to really start to talk to my mom about it, and she took me to my doctor, and it was my doctor who really kind of told me that, you may have an anxiety disorder.
We feel like right now, because of the stigma that's attached to getting the help for mental illness, that we don't even really have an appropriate statistic, because this age child is very afraid of any type of stigma that's going to put a focus on them. So that's a large part of what we're trying to do today and out in the community, is reduce that stigma so they're not afraid.
It's very confidential because as you know, every therapist has to sign something stating that whatever is said, unless a life's being threatened, is confidential between them and the student. So it's very confidential. They're called to the office and they're able to meet with somebody, and nobody, that's not revealed. I mean, that's the main thing. If it's revealed, people aren't going to open up. So, but with the student support liaisons, we have support and resources for the family too, not just the student.
with seeking help and with finding the right coping methods that you can push past it and you can find a way to better yourself through it. I definitely think it's an issue in high schools nowadays, especially with all the stress on students with, trying to figure out your career path and trying to keep up with school and trying to get that good grade. It's just a lot of stress on students, and I believe that, that stress sometimes helps to develop mental disorders, and that teenagers really don't know about what they are and about how they happen.
You can go to your school counselor and just talk to her and tell her, say, I feel like I may be depressed. I feel like I may have anxiety that's beyond what I can deal with at this time. It's affecting my everyday life. It's affecting my relationships. So that's how you access the services that we have available for you that are completely free. There will be no cost.
At the time when you first kind of encounter it, it seems absolutely impossible to overcome, but I'm living proof of the fact that I'm about to speak in front of 650 students with a severe anxiety disorder. It does get better. It just depends on how you seek help and if you open up to someone. You just have to find somebody that you're comfortable talking to that seems kind of educated about it and really just start to open up to them.
Thank you guys so much.